Okay, here we go. Back for our second adventure, second conversation, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know if people know that you're also a freedom coach.
Yeah.
So I thought that might be really great to talk about today is freedom, because that's basically what I do mostly in my work.
Right.
You know, and now that's what you're doing in your work too. Well, one of your jobs, one of your 3 companies.
Yes. Right. Yeah. 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 The way I look at it is there's sort of 2 aspects to freedom. There's, freedom of mind.
Yes.
So there's this, just innate sense that I am liberated from my own internal trappings, And then there's like freedom as maybe we might perceive it in the world of materiality, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's which very much relates to the work that you're doing as well. Freedom to move around and do what I want to do with my life.
When I want to do it.
When I want to do it.
Yes. Yes.
Which really correlates to abundance and financial freedom.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I think the starting point though is the peace of mind.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the end goal for my personal life is my peace of mind.
Right.
The financial stuff helps support that.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's about trusting, what I believe, and that everything works out, and that there's divine timing, and there's a plan, and we have influence, and all of those thoughts that allow me to live in the moment.
Right. So we were talking earlier, and I think that I would like to address this because I know a lot of people who maybe are just starting, if you want to put it that way, on the journey of like freedom. Might be like, well, you guys can talk like that because you've got everything you need, and but I struggle. I have 2 jobs. I have all this debt. I have a sick kid. All these circumstances. How the hell am I ever going to be able to do that? That attitude is prevalent.
And it's legit.
It is. It's very real.
Yeah, I completely understand that. If you're taking 2 buses to get to work, and then having to stop at the grocery store on the way home and help kids with homework, and I get it. Yeah. When do you even have a second to even work toward what you believe freedom is?
Yeah, that's that time piece.
Yeah, it's the time piece. Yeah.
That's a big one.
So where do you have people start?
Yeah. Gratitude.
Of course. Yeah.
Which still there's resistance there. I can even feel it in myself. It's like, I can see how hard it would be to be grateful when you have all of these pressures on you. So that's why, I think if you can just start with one little thing, even if it's like the most tiny thing.
Yeah.
The water that you have available to drink every day, fresh, clean water.
Warm water when you take a shower, electricity, food, the simple things.
And it's not just about like being like, oh yeah, well I have that. It's about really consciously, spending a minute at least to say, how did this get to me? Like what went into this? And wow, I'm so lucky. Comparing yourself to others, in the world helps. But yeah, and I think then recognizing, okay, I have access to this feeling of gratitude. And what does that feel like? Well, that feels really good, Like, well, so how did I do that? It's almost like magic.
Yes.
Like you can create that feeling in yourself.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of people really haven't experienced that kind of awareness.
I don't think they have either. Yeah, and that's what clearly with me, I was, to me appreciation is everything. Yeah. And when it feels like you don't have anything, material or even time-wise, it is so easy just to take a second and appreciate. I can see. Yeah. Nothing's hurting today, My joints are all working fine. Mm-hmm. I'll have a meal tonight. Mm-hmm. My kids are still alive and healthy and, they're not bombing outside my house.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really, I guess, continuing to encourage people to trust that, despite all of the life's stressors, you can still take the time to conjure that feeling. And the resistance that comes up is normal, and, we all suffer and have pain, and, that's normal too. And, there's still a choice, to spend a moment or two. Right.
And I think some people have a misconception of freedom, meaning that you don't feel bad feelings anymore.
Right.
Or, we're all human. We are all going to experience, crappy human stuff.
Yeah.
It's how long you stay in that crappy human stuff, and how you live the rest of your life, and how you deal with it, that gives you the freedom.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the stories that you make around the feeling.
Well, and we have a collective story too, especially in our country, about working two jobs. And even me just saying that, working two jobs and taking the bus, and there's something wrong with that. That those people didn't work hard enough, or they're not good enough, or they're not skilled enough, which is all bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we collectively buy into that story then.
Yeah. So
it's fascinating, isn't
it?
It
is, and it seems like so ingrained and so stuck, like that story.
Yeah.
And just like I feel like, I just have the sense that there are people that are just so embedded in that they can't. I mean, just they watch TV and like I do, and they see the story just constantly reinforcing itself. And again, like, how do you begin to create a new story?
And I think it's second by second.
Yeah.
I think the gratitude, just, feeling that for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then the next day, 30 seconds. And then a minute.
Yeah.
And then building from there.
Right.
I love the book The Power of Now. It's one of my favorite ones. I'm actually rereading it for, the 15th time. I don't know. But it's such a great reminder. And that's where I try to go back to every day, is when I see myself not being in the now, whatever that might be, is returning myself. So it's it's a mind practice. We're talking about mindfulness. There's but the practice is bringing yourself back to present.
Right.
Bringing yourself back to gratitude.
Right. Yeah. So how do you overcome all that resistance? The resistance. I know you don't have very much.
I don't have as much resistance. So the resistance in our brains of not wanting to do that.
Just be like, oh, that's bullshit. That's not going to help me. Oh, yeah, I can do that for 5 minutes a day, but how is that that's not going to change my whole life today, and I want to change now, you know what I mean? Like, how do you, all those voices,
Well, you can change now, as we know, but unfortunately, the people that can change now, or like in this second, are the people that have done years and years of mindful work and meditation and all that.
Yeah. So it is cumulative, and it is like there's a momentum, I think, that starts.
I agree.
Yeah. And it's not just saying, oh, okay, like you were saying, rightly so, like, okay, I can start with 30 seconds and then a minute and then 5 minutes, but it's not just that. It's also what happens around that as a result of the time that you've spent being mindful. That's where the magic happens. It's not, it is the practice, and then it's like observing what happens after.
Yes.
And
it's fascinating to me where people, you're surrounded by, we've heard this 10,000 times, the 5 people, that you're around most or you're most like.
Yeah.
And if you're living in lack, the people you're surrounding yourself with, the people, on the bus that you work with, that are in your family, have similar mindsets.
Yeah.
So that's a fascinating thing too. Let's just say that you're working really hard to be in the moment and grateful, and the people around you aren't.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's challenging.
It is challenging.
I think we talked about this a little bit, like how do you shift your community over time to support your path? It's a tough one for me, only because I feel so dedicated to certain people, and not, well, I don't even know how to say it. It's tricky. It's a complex situation.
It is.
Yeah. But I do find myself craving, a whole new set of people in my life, and like, where do you go?
Well, and I think that is something that's different now in our society. In the olden days, you know, you had your family, you were with your family, and that kind of was it.
Yeah.
And now we're in a different time where we can choose our friends, and if our family aren't healthy people, we don't have to be around them.
Yeah.
It's okay now, where in the past it may not have been socially okay to do that.
Right.
Now it's a necessity.
Yeah.
Now you got to take care of you. You got to take care of this.
Right. Yeah, because
peace of mind.
Yeah. Well, and I think that the more you're doing that, the more you take care of yourself, the better, you know, chance you have of actually affecting change in the world.
Absolutely.
Know? And so if you're stuck in any way, like with people, the people you're surrounding yourself with, you know, you're really doing everyone a disservice.
Yes.
Because you're not reaching your highest potential.
Yes. And a lot of times people need to see somebody do it.
Yeah.
Like if you have never experienced anyone that practiced gratitude or mindfulness, or you don't even know what it looks like. You don't even know the feeling of peace of mind.
Yeah.
The closest, I think this might have been in our last talk too, we were talking about a 3-day weekend. And I think some people can relate, you know, right after you get off of work on that Friday before a 3-day weekend, that that feeling is close to what we're looking for as far as peace of mind.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good example.
Yeah. But when do you feel that? 3 times a year when there's a 3-day weekend?
Right.
That's not enough.
Yeah, no.
No. That should be an everyday common feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I keep going back to this, but I just keep going back to like the voices in the head that say, the only time I can ever feel that way is if I have a 3-day weekend. How could I possibly ever feel that way?
And we forget that we're in charge of the voices in our head.
Yeah.
It seems like they're a different entity in there, you know, like, how can I get this thing to shut up?
Yeah.
You know, but that's you saying that stuff. So I have to go always back to meditation.
Yeah.
The more that you're in control of your thoughts and even understanding how your mind works, you know, because it's not the same for everybody, clearly, either.
Yeah.
I know if I'm having stressful times and I, you know, have excessive thoughts, I cannot drink coffee. I cannot have any sort of caffeine. I need to make sure that I go exercise and, you know, some yoga or a long walk, or I need to be in nature. Yeah. So whenever I see that I'm off that path and I have excess of chatter up here, my goal, I can say be quiet, which works really well for me because I've had years and years and years of meditation. But sometimes it doesn't because we're human. Yeah. And so that's when I have my strategy. Yeah. Like if I am really feeling anxiety or something, I don't even think about it. I put my shoes on, I go for a walk, and we're talking an hour, 2 hours, whatever. By the time I get back, I feel so much better. And then if that doesn't work, I call my mom. My mom is always, Mom, it's okay, honey, it's okay.
Aww.
You know, then I have my yoga, then I'll do some yoga, then I'll do some breath work, then I'll do whatever. But I just go down my list until I'm to the point where this is not there anymore. Yeah. But I which takes preparation ahead of time to know. Because if you're in the moment, you know, I don't even think about the walk. Yeah. It's just, okay, I'm feeling stuff, walk.
Yeah. You've made the association between that feeling and the behavior.
And taking care of it. Yes, taking care of myself. Yeah.
That reminds me of kind of like NLP, you know, neuro-linguistic programming. It sounds like you've programmed your mind.
Yes.
To put on your shoes.
Yes.
When you have those overwhelming thoughts.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's another thing to think about is like, okay, you know, how do I train myself to take care of myself without having to go through this whole rigmarole of like, oh God, what do I do now? You know, oh, I could do this, I could do that, you know.
But in the moment, you're not feeling like you want to do anything.
No, right, and that's why you need to do that, actually, training of like, when I feel this way, I put on my shoes.
Yes. And it's identifying to me the feeling.
Right.
Like, here it is.
Yeah.
So that means I do this.
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't stay there 1 second longer than I have to.
Yeah.
Because
otherwise then you just, you could go away.
And then why?
Yeah.
Why do I want to stay there 1 second longer?
Right.
I want to feel good.
Yeah.
That's not feeling good. So,
no.
yeah.
People are addicted to feeling bad.
Are they really?
I think so. I mean, I know I like to talk about addiction and
Yes,
various levels
yes.
of addiction, and I mean, there's a lot of definitions in my mind of it, but in this case, it's like that, just that stuck quality of like, it's what I know, it's what I know, and therefore it's comfortable, and therefore I'm going to stay in it.
And they may not have even experienced not feeling that good, maybe a few times in their life, but not that many. Yeah.
So it's almost like what we're saying is like, just trust and give yourself that experience enough times to where it starts to become really valuable to you.
Yes.
To where you don't pause between having the chatter and putting on the shoes.
Yes.
Yeah. You really are in that mindset of self-care, and it's automatic.
Yes.
Yeah. But that takes time to get there.
It does take time to get there.
Yeah.
It's not overnight, unless you're one of those people that have spent decades, which is the decades of work to get there that you can change over in a second.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do when you're feeling, stressed or not in the moment, or?
I walk.
Do you? You're a walker too?
Yes.
Yeah.
I take the dog out.
Yeah.
I write. Like flow write journaling.
Yeah.
But not journaling as in like, oh my God, my life sucks. It's more like just whatever. I just try to get into that flow state where I'm not really in my mind. It's more creative. I meditate. I cook.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Because you're in the moment when you're cooking.
You are, and I've been trying lately to not follow recipes as much, because I do tend to do that because I feel like stressed out that it's not going to be good enough if I don't. But I've been trying to get into this habit now of like, it's sort of, this is like an NLP, this is like a programming thing for me too. In order to eat healthier, what I'm doing now is every time I walk into the kitchen to prepare a meal, I go for the vegetable drawer and I take out a bunch of vegetables and I just start chopping.
Oh, that's great.
I just start prepping the vegetables, not knowing what the heck they're going to do, where they're going to go. But, then there's oil and
you're starting with veggies. You're not starting with a cupcake.
Right. Yeah. So I think creativity is a huge part of my practice.
Yeah.
Because I think it's what really connects me to the divine, probably more than anything. Yeah. But definitely, getting out into nature, and the exercise are huge for me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really that, like a lot of coaches say, it's changing state, right? It's like getting out of that state that's really sort of dragging you down.
Yeah.
And into, kind of a more uplifted and energized state.
Yes.
And so what are the tools that get you there? And it looks different for everyone.
It does look different for everyone. And I know that I have set up my day, and I don't know, I don't remember if we talked about this before. I've talked about it with so many people, about starting my day from the shower.
Yeah.
Like my soap. I love my soap, and I have a nice towel, and, I always have the music playing, I'm starting from a place of appreciation from the very start of the day.
Yeah.
Then I have a habit, this may be too TMI, but when I go to the bathroom, even if I'm peeing for 20 seconds, I'll sit there a little bit longer and just spend some time, appreciating where am I in this moment? What is going on? Thank goodness I just had a great podcast, or I just had a great meal, or whatever it may be, just as reminders. So I go to the bathroom, quite often.
Yeah, because you've associated it with a time to pause and reflect and be grateful for it. Yeah, I love that. That's cool. That's good. I mean, you could really do that with any little sort of stopping point throughout your day. You could really start to say, okay, when I go into this room,
Yeah. Or when I get in my car to drive to work, or, or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could literally anchor different sort of affirmations even.
Yes.
Or gratitudes with different places.
Yes.
I like that.
I like that too. That's nice.
It would be a fun exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even to go through the day identifying, every morning for 5 days a week you walk into this office or this place of business, or you talk to this friend or the parking lady or whatever it may be, identifying where you could even do that.
Especially maybe even in the sticky, more negative situations, maybe like say the parking attendant is kind of a bitch. How could you like just change that around and say, oh, maybe that's when you practice like I don't know if this is the right word, but like the Tonglen practice in Buddhism, where you like put your loving kindness out into the world. So like practice loving kindness with that person every day.
Yes.
And it's not about that person, it's about the practice of loving kindness.
Yes. And it gives the person, to me, represents an opportunity to practice it.
Yeah.
So where I lived before I moved downtown, there was a woman that I saw every single day when I was, going to work at the grocery or whatever, walking her dog. And so I would always wave at her. It took her almost 2 years for her to wave back to me.
Yeah.
But every time at first I thought, God, what a bitch.
Yeah.
Not waving back at me.
Yeah.
But then when I started practicing the loving kindness, it was for me. I felt so good, like, oh my gosh, here's my opportunity again to wave at her. And then when she finally waved back, it was one of the best days of my life.
Oh
like,
my God,
I cracked it. Yes.
That's
so
awesome.
I've done that multiple times. There was a receptionist that I had to walk by every day. Same thing. I would always say good morning. And, a year later, finally I got a good morning back. And then we became friends.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Because, that in the beginning she was probably thinking, what a weirdo, or like, why is she even talking to me? Like, but like, it's not about that. It's not about you trying to change her mind. It's about you literally doing your own work.
Yeah, and about me getting the experience to even do that, because I run into so many happy, kind people that I don't run into too many bitches. Yeah. Which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I do, it's like, oh my God, an opportunity.
Nice. That's great. Yeah, that's a good attitude. I love that.
Yeah. So what do you see, we had talked a little bit about debt before with clients.
Yeah.
Clients struggling with debt. Do you see that in your practice?
I do, and it's, I've been reflecting on it. I feel like it's a very complicated issue because there's just so many attitudes about it. I think in general in our country, it's okay to have a lot of debt. And I'm concerned that that's not the best story out there, or that's not the whole story. Let's just say that. But it seems like, it's just become acceptable to have credit card debt all the time, and that's just kind of like the broad, perspective that I'm taking in terms of like the culture.
Right.
But then when it comes to individuals, of course, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a struggle in our minds more than anything. Like I think we talked about. So when how do you choose to take on debt? And should that be a conscious choice? And should you have a plan for how to pay it off? And what would you say to somebody struggling with debt, like feeling really trapped by it, I guess?
Well, first, I think that our collective idea about debt is broken. And we've been sold so many, you have to buy this, have this, get this, or you're not good, or you're not worthy, or you're not whatever. Right. So I think a lot of it is even though it's mindless buying, it's leading right back into that. Well, if I have these shoes, then that makes me more worthy. Right. Or if I have this, or if I have that. I am shocked at how much people buy. Yeah. Just from a sustainability standpoint. Yeah. I cannot believe the amount that people buy clothing and household goods and shit made in China. And it's mind-boggling to me. Yeah. But the first thing when you sit down with a financial planner, the first thing they really ask you is about risk. And how do you feel about, because we all have such different ideas of risk and what we feel comfortable with and the amount of debt that feels okay with us. Yeah. Now that I've had businesses, you use your credit line and debt, that's just part of running a business is managing debt in a way. I'm really comfortable with debt. I don't have a problem with it at all, but that's because I've used it in big, large, numbers over and over and over till I get. But a normal person, that's effing scary. To look at, oh my gosh, I owe all this. And then here we go with the vibe stuff. Then you feel bad about yourself. Yes. Then you feel shame.
Yes.
then you may not even tell your partner.
Yeah.
Which then we're really talking about some fucked up stuff, you know? Yeah. So identifying that you are not your debt. It is okay. It is okay if you have credit card debt.
Yeah.
You know, and looking at what did you buy with that? Did you buy a bunch of junk that you really didn't need to boost self-esteem?
Yeah.
Or did it help you? And it might have helped you. Did you get to go to college with it? Did you, buy a house?
Yeah.
Medical stuff that you had to take care of, taking care of your family.
Right.
If in that way, that debt is your friend.
Yes.
It was there and had your back when you needed it.
It was a great opportunity.
Yes.
To take care of yourself.
Yes,
and your needs.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would really take a look at what you're buying.
Yeah.
And where did it come from?
And what excuses you're making for why you think you need to buy it. And why. Yes. Where are those coming from?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that I'm the kind of person that might be like, fuck it. I deserve a vacation. I'm going to, put this on the credit card and go on vacation, and that's, to me, just for me personally, that's a little bit of a gray area, because on the one hand, it would be really fantastic, because I'd get to take a break and restore, and I would, do all the things. But then, I might also ask myself, well, how might I have achieved this feeling that I've gotten from vacation in other ways? That didn't require me.
Yeah, exactly.
That,
Yeah, because once again, I don't think it's all the same. Mm-hmm. There was a time when the mortgage market collapsed, whenever that was, 2007, 2008, and I had zero money coming in, maybe even negative coming in, and the only thing my soul told me to do, and I listened, is to go to the spa. Now, the spa is ultra expensive. Yeah. It makes no logical sense to go to the spa. Yeah. But I trust my intuition and I trust my soul, so I ponied up the money and I went to the spa. Yeah. And while at the spa, I got so clear about what my next steps were to be in business and how to switch the sucker around, that was the best money that I probably ever spent in that regard.
And I think the key word there is trust and listen. Because if you had gone to the spa out of defiance, you might not have gotten clear.
Oh, I wouldn't have gotten clear. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it really is about your
intention. Yes. Yes, and asking yourself the questions, running through. When I don't buy a lot of things anymore, but routinely I'll identify something and then I'll wait a long time. Yeah. Do I really want it? Do I really need it? And most of the time it's no.
I love that. I think that's I think that's a really good practice.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of the same way. I used to be very spontaneous and making purchases. Even today, I was looking at Tom's shoes.
I saw your post about Tom's
so much, and I have a pair, and they're perfect. And I was like, I should get another pair of Tom's shoes. I really want those red ones. I want those blue ones, and they're like $25. And I was like, no, that wouldn't be a big deal at all. But then I caught myself because I was like, you're doing that thing again where you're just like, you're playing with yourself here. You're saying, I deserve that, or I don't know. There's just this conversation going on in my mind when really what I wanted to ask myself and what I ultimately did ask myself was, do I need those? I don't. I love the ones I have.
Right.
And I can still love the ones I have. I don't need another one. In fact, I felt like now that I'm talking about it, if I had two pair, the love would be split between them somehow. I wouldn't love these ones as much anymore. So why would I do that when I can just put, I don't know. It's funny.
Yeah.
And plus it's I already have enough shoes, I don't know.
Yeah. But I think what you said was the question, do I deserve this?
Right.
Which then goes right back to am I worthy?
Right.
Have I been a good girl and worked really hard to deserve these new shoes? It's so ridiculous.
It is.
Yeah.
And I was able to in that moment immediately dismiss that question because I'm like, that's not even the question here. That's it's not a question of deservability.
No.
Ever.
No.
So it's just, it all comes back to kind of watching your mind and observing it and saying, okay, well, why? What is that voice saying, and where did that come from, and what's a different question I could be asking myself?
Yes.
Yeah.
And identifying, why do I really want this?
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is the feeling
Yes.
that we think we're going to get
Yes.
when we get the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think that, like in the case of the Tom shoes, the feeling was not going to be freedom, which is the feeling that I'm always going for.
Yes.
That I was not going to feel any more free
with another pair of shoes.
Yeah. I feel more free taking the slightly dirty Tom shoes I have and putting them in the washing machine and air drying them on my beautiful, sunny deck.
Yeah.
That ritual makes me feel even more free,
Yeah.
Caring for what I already have gives me a sense of freedom.
So when we're talking about freedom, then identifying what it actually is that gives you, because once again, we're all different in this area,
yes.
gives you the freedom of feeling.
Yes.
Or, I'm sorry, the feeling of freedom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, actually, I mean, that is the ultimate question. Like, what makes you feel free? And I don't think the answer is always really clear in the beginning.
No, I don't think so either, because you don't even know.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you could say, a vacation would make me feel really free right now. Well, then I would ask, what is it about the vacation?
Right.
That would make you feel free?
Right.
Well, laying on the beach, for 4 hours in the sun. Do you have to go, to Bali?
Exactly, to do that.
To do that. No. It's the whole, Byron Katie, is that true? Is that really true? I mean, and that really helps you whittle down to that place of like, maybe it isn't spending 4 hours on the beach in the sun. Maybe it's just being alone.
Yes, maybe it's being away from your fucking phone.
Right.
Yes. So the kids can't reach me,
yes.
and my boss can't reach me, or, I just need a break.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Which could happen, on top of Mount Tabor, or.
Exactly.
And I'm not trying to say, don't take the trip to Bali. I'm just trying to say, get really clear about what it is you actually need.
Yeah.
And how, and all the ways you could actually get that.
Yeah.
Because it might even just be a bath for 15 minutes.
It might.
It might.
Yes.
And so I think that this is like the ultimate question to ask oneself, and also for the benefit of the entire world. Because I believe that if we really all asked ourselves that, we wouldn't be buying so much crap. We wouldn't be using up all these resources. No.
But if you think about it, let's talk about the working class in our country. They don't have very much vacation, if any, paid vacation.
Right.
So really one of the few times they're feeling like they're in charge of their life is when they're making a purchase. Because that's the time, like it's my money, and I've earned this, and I'm choosing to do this with that.
Yeah.
Although in that second, later on, of course, oh God, I chose that too many times. Mm-hmm. But I can understand why you would make that choice, just to feel that little bit of freedom for, I don't know, 10 minutes?
Second. Yeah.
Or a split second? I don't know.
It's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, it is a wonderful feeling. And there's so many other great ways to feel it without buying something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think, like we were talking about last time, it's an addictive. There's an addictive quality to that. There's buying things. There's consuming substances. That's another way that gives that temporary sense of abandon, essentially, which is like freedom, right?
Sure.
But really, it's numbness. But or like just an altered state, which I'm not dissing. I'm just saying there can be an addiction around it, right?
Right.
And so what we're saying is question that, and look, what I want to say to everyone who's listening is that there is another way. There really is. So just maybe for a second, just trust that. Trust that there's another way, and start experimenting with
with you, because
Yeah.
and this is the whole thing, is we're all so different.
Yes.
That something that's going to work for you, cooking,
Right.
is not going to work for me.
No.
You know, but you don't know until you try.
Right.
You don't know until you try your own little appreciation routines. What does it for you? Soap and a towel and hot water does it for me. That's easy.
Yeah.
But that might not be your thing. Maybe, you know, so you don't know until you try.
What are some other things? Like, what are some other ways that your clients, maybe, just so we can, like, maybe put some ideas out there
That
they do when they,
like appreciation routines,
or
freedom,
mindfulness
or
routines, or like anything that gets them into that state.
Well, I think a lot of people right now are doing guided meditations.
Yeah.
It's quick, it's easy.
Yes.
You know, there's multiple apps that are free that you can pull up and do that. So, just getting yourself to that vibe, you know, that is the important thing. This is all about you. Yeah. And when we're so focused on, you know, the people, the job, the thing, the stuff, the house, all external, when this is all an internal thing.
Yes.
And that could feel selfish for some people.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, but the alternative is you're not living the life of your dreams. So, you know, for me, it's all internal work.
Yes.
All day long is focused on, how does this make me feel? What is my reaction for about that?
Yeah.
Do I even want to let this enter my consciousness? Because we have that choice too. No, today I cannot handle one more Trump thing.
Yeah.
It is not entering my consciousness today.
Yeah.
Today I need to have peace of mind
Yeah.
and trust and believe, you know,
Yes.
so whatever those routines may be, and they're so different for everybody.
Right. Do you watch Queer Eye?
I do watch Queer Eye.
I just like binge watched all 3 seasons in preparation for it's coming out. The 4th season coming out today.
Oh, it is. Okay.
I'm so excited. I mean, I love that show, and it reminds me of what you're talking about, because like Karamo, and all of them really, but Karamo's just so great, I think, at really nailing down the specific, you know, sort of stuck place of each of their participants.
Yeah.
And you know, and they also know that these other areas of life, you know, like nourishing the body and taking care of, you know, the grooming, and that those are all things that, and the space, which is a big one for me, that really can kind of like jumpstart you on a path to freedom.
Yeah.
So you say it's all an inside job, and I agree. And sometimes if you merely like move your furniture around and add some artwork, you can shift energy like it's nobody's business.
I completely agree. And that, for me, then would once be going back to, it feels much better in my home when my home is clean.
Yeah.
You know, when my couch is positioned this way. Yeah. When I have the crystals blocking the negative energy from the front door, whatever it may be. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, and this is one of the offerings I'm going to actually start to develop, and it's something I already do, but I'm going to make it pretty and stuff. It's like the Marie Kondo purging piece, but also with my interior design background, I definitely want to bring in like the whole like space shifting and moving things around, and maybe adding, subtracting, you know, and helping people do that on their own, so they don't need me. Because it's so powerful. I mean, you see the way people react when they come into their homes on that show.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Bobby, he works magic in those spaces, and I see it as like, for me, the most powerful of all the different.
That's cool.
I think so.
That's super cool.
I mean, for me it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we're asking about where do I see clients with routines, where I do see them is stuff stuck in their house.
Yes.
This is a recurring thing that I will hear multiple times a week.
Yeah.
Oh, my desk is a mess, or a lot of times it's the basement. And it's also fascinating where, as you know, when you talk about feng shui, where the basement is, you know, correlating with your chakras, and where you that energy relates to where you're stuck in some chakra energy too. So it's fascinating. Yeah. You know, so that is something that I do. You do the physical movement of it. I do the energetic blocks of it.
Well, we should partner on this stuff.
Oh my God, we should.
Totally.
Like, you move the stuff, and then I'll come in and bust the energy out, and then they walk in, and it's a new life.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's kind of fun.
Magical. I bet we could rock that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. You are witnessing ideas in creation. Yay! It's a brilliant thing.
Totally.
Sometimes you just gotta talk it out.
And trust. Once again, going back to that. Yeah.
I feel like we've covered a lot of really cool. I mean, we've kind of stayed within like a very, we've talked about thing and
I did. How could that happen during a podcast? It's a sign.
I think it's a sign.
It's over.
Yeah.
What do you want to say in final words?
I feel like we really honed in on the core, I feel like, and we kind of circled around it a bunch and kind of like, talked about a lot of different aspects of it, but I really do think that we nailed the core of change and freedom today.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back and listen to it and take notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah.
I would just finish, I guess, with that really being aware of yourself. Taking the time to examine your feelings and your thoughts and why, and your reasoning. Why am I doing this? Yeah. And eliminating the things that don't make you happy or that keep you stuck.
Yeah. And you could start small.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Like maybe it's just
maybe it's cleaning out a drawer.
Yeah, right.
Or a cabinet, or, getting rid of, I don't know, some t-shirts that just aren't you anymore.
Right, or that have holes or raggedy.
Yeah,
or whatever,
exactly.
I mean, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but I definitely feel like there's a momentum that happens.
I agree.
Once you start.
I agree.
And so give up the idea that you have to do something massive in order to change your life. Just give that up.
Yeah.
You do not.
Yeah, you don't. It's like steering a ship. It's like little steps.
Yeah.
Little steps that keep you moving, keep you on the path.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a pleasure as always.
All right, we'll be back.
Yes.
Next time.